Okay, welcome back. This is the second lecture, and in this lecture we're going to talk about Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is a pretty short chapter. We're going to cover the most common types of financial ratios, and it's a big part of the class, mostly because it's a big part of financial discourse and the way that corporations and corporate finance is reported in both the news and talked about in common. All right, so knowing financial ratios, or at least having heard them before so that you know where to go back and look for more information, is a big part of being able to talk like you know what you're talking about. It's a big part of sounding like you belong in the financial world or the business world. And financial ratios are very common, and the ones we're going to talk about are common enough that people say them in just general discussion at work or on the financial news, and they blow right through it with an expectation that you already know what they're talking about. And so if somebody says profit margin or ROI or ROE or ROA, they just expect that means something to you. And a big part of this class, as an introduction to corporate finance, is at least exposing you to the relevant terminology and definitions that you'll hear if you go on and work in the business world. And again, it's not like I expect you to memorize everything and retain it perfectly, but hopefully just enough to put something in your head to trigger a memory, so that if somebody says something, you go, oh wait, he told me I should remember that, and you know where to go look, you know what to go look up, and you have a background so that when you do look it up, it hopefully just refreshes your memory instead of you having to learn it all over again. Okay, so this is a short chapter. It's pretty quick. There's no homework associated specifically with Chapter 3 because basically we're going to talk about 12 different ratios and what they mean. And a ratio is just division, so I'm not going to have you do a homework where you just do a bunch of division, but you should expect to see some of these on the exams, and they wouldn't show up on a formula sheet. So do expect to be able to need to memorize 12 different ratios. I don't think that's a huge ask here. But I don't have any homework specifically for it. But you'll see some on the reviews for the exams and things like that. And why do we care, right? So beyond just wanting to expose you to common terminology, there is ratios wouldn't be common terminology unless they had some value beyond their face value. And the biggest form of value comes from the ability of a financial ratio, a ratio of two numbers, to provide you condensed information in a very meaningful way. Okay, so one of the biggest problems with talking about companies and talking about financial statements is that there is information overload. Right? If we look at the balance sheet and income statement, look, here's a simple balance sheet and income statement. So if we look at a simple balance sheet and income statement, already there's a lot of numbers here on the table, and this is, these are made up. This is simple. If you look at the actual financial information for companies that are filed with the government regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, you'll see that the annual document that the companies are required to file, which is called the 10K, can run to 50, 100 pages. And that's with supporting documentation that can also be another 100 pages. So you might have 200 pages worth of information in any given year from a company that you would then have to digest, and in order to really understand what the company is about, what it's doing, what it's valued at. All right, so all of that stuff is a huge amount of information. But even if we look at just this relatively straightforward balance sheet and income statement, there's a lot of information to ingest, right? And what we want to use, what ratios provide us, is a way to condense this information and tell us useful things about the firm. Right? There is no one ratio that perfectly tells us whether a firm is good or bad, or perfectly tells us whether a firm is well run or poorly run, or has excellent financial management or poor financial management. Right? None of the ratios, because they condense the information, they can't tell us that much. But if we use enough of them and we think about them critically, we can start to get a picture of the firm, and at least they can be a roadmap so that we know what looks off, what looks unusual, what looks great, and that can guide us into the bigger set of documentation, the bigger set of information, and let us go get a more full and complete picture. Right? So I mean, again, you have to imagine that if I slap it's 200 pages of financial documentation and more, right? Because let's say I put 10 years of financial information for a company on your desk, it's going to take you a long time to go through, and it's not going to be easy then, even if you get a good, if you digest all that information and you get a good picture of that firm, it's not going to be easy for you to communicate that to me. So ratios not only provide a way to condense information, they provide a way to communicate that information in a way that's understood by both parties. Okay? And there's a lot of different ratios, because a ratio is simply the division of two financial numbers, two sets of information. So I can take any entry from the balance sheet or the income statement or any of the other financial statements, divide it by any other one, and create a new financial ratio, right? But that doesn't have any value whatsoever unless that division, that collection of numbers, tells me something useful and valuable about the firm or the firm's behavior, right? So there are lots and lots of ratios out there, hundreds probably, and lots of analysts, people who work at banks and hedge funds whose job it is to study companies in great detail, they sort of stake their claim on making their own set of ratios that they claim allows them to better understand a firm or better communicate their understanding of the firm. That is up in the air. And if you get into the business or you want to get into investing or you read these kind of financial reports, I would urge you to do so with great caution and to make sure that you really understand the ratios that are provided if that's what you're relying on to better your understanding of the company. The ones we're going to talk about in this lecture are the most common ones, the ones that everyone should expect you to know, you should expect everyone else to know, and the ones that have very little diversity of meaning. Meaning, if you ask someone about profit margin, they're going to know exactly what you're talking about. There's very little chance that they're going to think you're discussing a different ratio or that you're discussing a different combination of values. Right? Whereas some of the less common ratios might have different definitions from different people and different interpretations. That's not the kinds of ones that we're going to discuss in this class. Okay? So managers often use financial ratios for all the reasons that I just listed. They provide metrics that can be studied, and they provide a way to condense a great deal of information and communicate it in a way that's understood by everyone. Right? And one of the big benefits of it is that it is just division. So that's very easy. It's something that lots of people can do in their head. It's something that you can certainly do on your phone or in a simple calculator. It's back of the envelope kind of math. You can talk about financial ratios and company behavior with those relevant ratios at a business meeting at lunch without having to be sitting at a big table with Excel and spreadsheets and all the information in front of you. One of the other benefits it gives us is it gives us the benefit of comparability. Firms are difficult to compare in the best of times. And they're difficult to compare because every firm is different. Right? And that might seem like a tautology, but every firm is different in different ways. And we have to make sure that we try to compare firms in ways that acknowledge those differences, not in ways that ignore them. Right? So for instance, if we flip back here, right, and we see that we have a firm that has net sales or revenue of $1.5 billion, right? 1,500 million. That's a big firm. That's a lot of revenue, 1.5 billion. If we compare it to a firm that only has, say, 400 million in revenue, what can we say about those two firms directly? Is it necessarily the case that a firm with greater revenue is a better firm just because it has greater revenue? Is the firm with 1.5 billion automatically a better firm? We can't. It isn't true, right? And there are lots of reasons why firms may have different levels of revenue or different levels of cost. And because one firm is just bigger than the other doesn't mean it's better run or better managed. For instance, you might have a case, and it's certainly possible that you have a case, where a firm with bigger revenue has lower profit. So you often see this, it is possible to compare a firm that, say, has 1.5 billion in revenue, but only 25 million in profit, and another firm that has 400 million in revenue but 50 million in profit. Now, which firm is better? Well, the ratio of profit to sales can help us get an understanding. It also allows us to compare these two firms despite their different sizes. We are comparing their relative profit margins instead of their absolute value of their accounting numbers. So ratios give us a sense of comparability across firms. They allow me to, say, compare all the different car companies together. Even though the car companies are all of different sizes, they all make different models, they all have different goals, and they all have different consumer bases and things like that. It also gives us comparability through time with our own firm. So this is a way for the managers within a firm to compare the performance and results of the firm in this year relative to, say, all the previous 20 years. When, again, the issue is that the firm 20 years ago is likely to have been considerably smaller, or maybe even operating in a different industry, or have been doing something totally different, or had different goals, or different cost structures, or any number of things. A ratio is a relative measure, so it's comparing the profit margin or the return or the efficiency of a firm now relative to a firm previously, and incorporating all the differences that those two firms might have.